Welcome to the mindless musings of friends while two of us play Stardew Valley.
When did this recording start?
I have no idea.
Oh, I'm just waiting for some, gold.
I'd hate to commit a crime around you, Carl. You know that.
I
Yeah,
would
you've already
never,
said that about a
ever
fucking
turn you
billion
in.
times by now.
Besides, it's not like you're about to go out and commit a crime anyway, Phil. You're the little goody two-shoes Pollyanna type.
That is true.
Yeah, Phil.
I'm completely innocent in every way. Gold, all that gold.
No, that's not the stuff that's gold. It's how did waterfalls not run out of water?
Still not
Because
letting
they're
that one.
just rivers that go
I
over
didn't
a
bring
cliff.
it up this time.
Still not letting that one go.
I'm just saying I didn't bring that one up this time. That wasn't me. Don't give me shit over this.
I'm not
saying
giving you
that
shit for
is
this.
I'm just saying that shit like that is the gold. Okay, I'm not exactly making fun of you for it still.
It's all right.
I'm just saying, things like that, and it's usually you coming up with
Of course.
the gold, Joe. So
Of course.
I'm looking at, I take, because I have an Android phone, whenever I take pictures, they're automatically uploaded to my Google Photos account, linked to my Gmail. And I'm looking at my albums because I like to, sort my pictures. Priscilla, 68 photos. Citrine, 25 photos. Broggy, 117 photos.
Is he photogenic, eh?
Oh, insanely.
He's
And
captured your heart.
198 photos. And so on and so forth. Sophie, 361.
Jeez.
Yeah. You know who I loved most of all? Who I still love most of all?
Is it Mr. Hitachi?
That's inanimate and doesn't count.
You know the Japanese have got this thing, if you actually use an object in your household enough times, it becomes a servant. I hope that thing doesn't become like a spirit animal of yours, and he's like, hey! He's like talking to you.
Oh, then it's been a servant for a while.
I'm really bad at gambling.
I'm really great at it. Talk Fiesta for everybody.
Yes.
I am actually generally pretty decent at gambling.
The only way you win is don't. The best way to gamble is to set up the actual gamble in the first place.
The best way to gamble is to know when to quit.
No,
Know when to
that's a
walk.
gambler's fallacy.
That's sound logic, I think.
No,
Quit while you're ahead.
it's really not.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. If I want to go to Sonic and get a burger and a shake, that's really wasted money. In all honesty, yes, I'm going to get something to eat, but I'm not going to get something of significant nutritional value to eat.
Okay.
It's just because it tastes good. So, in my opinion, taking and setting aside X amount of money that you have to just spend frivolously and saying, I'm going gambling with this, is not much different than doing that. Or going to see a movie that winds up being garbage. It's
How did
money
this-
that you have to spend frivolously. So you go and you gamble with that.
Okay,
And
but
if you get up to say $100 and you get up to say $300, you quit gambling, you go home and say, yay, at least it wasn't a total waste. If you spend $100 and you lose it all in gambling, you're like, oh well, I intended to just spend that money anyway.
it's interesting, but I give you an alternative take on that, which is set up the gambling business in the first place. You make more money from the schmucks who gamble. If you create the game that is the
Yeah,
hustle,
but that requires having the money in the first place.
And the licensing.
but I would have more money in the first place if I did that.
I mean, that's not necessarily true.
Casinos are expensive, buddy.
You're putting a lot of faith in chance, where I actually prefer certainty, which is usually the correct thing that a lot of business types do.
See, that's the thing, is I'm not even putting faith in chance. In my case, I'm looking at it as this is money that I was going to blow on something stupid anyway. So when it's gone, it's not really a big deal. It's money I intended to just blow.
Yo, Joe, this is the Fate Zero episode 10 episode. Everybody's got a completely different opinion about how to do something on a simple thing.
So instead
The
of
thing
being a
about
king,
gambling is knowing the odds. You
I
can
say-
play the odds even when they are against you.
I say beat the odds completely. Why bother playing by the odds when you could create the game that is that to begin with?
Yeah,
It's
I'm just
true.
saying when it comes to gambling in general, I mean, you can know the. Take poker. I mean, there are people who are a lot better at it than others. They're gonna. You can look at your hand and tell if you've got better odds of beating somebody else. Just from looking at the couple cards in your hand.
You're not wrong. I don't
And
want
it's
to
a
be
case of
that.
how- Yeah, I'm
You're
not
not
saying
wrong.
you should or have to. I'm just saying.
The house wins like 95% of the time. Phil
Exactly.
wants to be the house.
Yeah, not just that, but sometimes what you describe is the gambler's fallacy, and it is the gambler's fallacy to have pride. That's the issue.
The house wins a lot of the time because they know the odds. Oftentimes they set the odds.
True,
Blackjack,
the house
for
often cheats.
example, the house have their own rules. Often it's a case of the dealer stands on 16 or 17 because the house knows the odds are around about there is where the dealer has the best chance of winning. I mean,
Isn't
you know,
it
the
adorable?
majority of casinos don't have clocks on the walls.
Well,
And,
joke, man.
Usually
doesn't surprise
placed far enough away from windows that you typically can't really see out of them.
Absolute psychological warfare right from the get-go. Insane.
It's because
Especially those
they
trapped
don't want you to think about how much time you're spending in there. Because the longer you spend in there, the more time you're spending in there, you're going to lose more money. The best way and the most effective way is to gamble big, gamble once, win, and get the fuck out. And that is pretty much the best way of actually winning money.
Actually, my favorite thing to do in most casinos is go to the buffet,
There's that.
especially for breakfast.
I'm just saying, when it comes to like roulette, I mean, if you were to make a single bet on roulette, what would you pick? Because a lot of people would go, oh, I would just put money on red or black or this and that and the other. Because it's a straight 50-50 shot, right?
Mhm.
Except, no,
It's not.
you're wrong. The
There's
payout
also
would give you, that extra on top, that 50% or whatever. But it's not a 50% shot. 0 or double 0 is green. So it's more like 48%. So if you keep gambling over and over on that, you will eventually just lose money. And this is why roulette's set up that way. So, for example, the one way to win out of roulette, you put your money on one number. If that one number wins, you walk out of there. Because if you bet on one number and get the return on that, it's like 37-1. You put $100 down, you walk out of there with nearly $4,000.
Meanwhile, I'm sat there eating my Milky Way, feeling like the smartest guy in the room. Oh, wait.
I'm just saying, there is logic to odds. You got to know how to deal with it.
when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em. Sorry.
Gambling is a numbers game with a lot of games. If you are good at math, you can gamble. You just gotta know how.
St. Peter, won't you vote my... I sold my soul to the company store.
And from this conversation, I can goddamn guarantee I would kick all of your asses at poker.
Probably.
Don't care.
Just saying.
Don't care.
Probably Gwent too.
Yeah,
You're the only one who knows how to play it.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Oh, gee, I would beat you in this game that only I know how to play.
Like, you sound like
Yeah,
Sano
because-
Kaiba in that.
You don't know how to
made
play
the effort.
poker?
No, Gwent.
No, Gwent!
Oh,
Yeah, but I made the effort to learn how. Much the same with poker.
Yeah, but listen to yourself. You sound like Seto Kaiba in that abridged series. Children's card game, you say? It sounds awfully familiar.
I'll restart The Witcher 3 just so you can play, because God bless you. Because
Just a couple.
I don't know how to frickin' play Gwent, and I tried to learn, man.
You know what's pissing me off? You know what actually is pissing me off? There's like a sex scene hidden behind a Gwent game, so he's doing better than us, I guess. So
Who the hell was Geralt sleep with? Like a professional gambler lady?
no, I think there's like a tournament lady, like behind that. She's like, "Oh wow, you beat me. Okay then." She jumps in bed with Geralt straight away. Yeah, there's so many of those like quests in The Witcher 3 that's just it results in like, okay, what's the reward? More money, and like Geralt gets his bones jumped, and he's like, oh, isn't a clue what the hell is going on anymore. Okay, do you remember the fighting arena one across Skellige?
Mhm.
Where it's like you're going across all the different places, and the last guy that on your arena list is like a burr. And it's like a
Yes.
plot twist, it's a burr. And then following that, there's a lady who's just like, you're a pretty good fighter, bone. It's yeah, ladies queuing up for miles to do Henry Cavill now.
You think he's retired from Superman at this point?
Oh, yeah. I think he came back for the Snyder Cut? And he the Snydery.
He's not in any new scenes.
Oh, what a shame.
Like, Snyder's obsessed with making his rendition of Superman evil.
So do it. It's way more interesting than the original product.
Like, he has, like, glimpses of the future in this movie where he and Darkseid are best buddies.
You kill all those Earthlings yet? Yeah.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. But the opening of that movie when David Thewlis kicks Darkseid's ass does not do any favors to that character. Like, on one hand, it's fun seeing the bad guys fight each other. But on the other hand, like, if this is your ultimate bad guy, if this is your Emperor Palpatine, if this is your, I don't know, Thanos or whatever, you don't want to see, like, you don't want your first iteration of the character to be him getting his ass kicked.
Okay. Where 14 is up to now in the plot, they just introduced and they just did away with like characters who presumably have been around for like 12,000 years, okay? These guys are like immortal wizards and such, like they're all powerful, okay? And there's 3 of them in the whole story, right? You do away with 2 of them in Shadowbringers. The first one that you do away with is like all the way back at the beginning of the game. And he's one of the big bads. So how do you feel about villain decay? Like, why should you take the other guys seriously if you did away with the first one so easily?
Are the other 2 more powerful?
Oh yes.
So it's like the God Hand.
One is turns into Hades, the other one turns into the Warrior of Light. So
Okay, so there's different ranks.
yeah, why should you fear the other two? Because, usually the first one's going to be the weakest.
So it would be villain decay if you fight their leader right away and he's a chump. And then
yeah,
his
that's
2
it.
other really? That's how it went?
He's one of the 3 leaders. Okay, in 2013, in like Realm Reborn for 14, you fight a guy called Laha Breya, right? At the very end of the plot, he's the main villain of Realm Reborn. Okay, Laha Breya is one of these three giant badass characters, and you do away with him. Okay, then it takes us like half a decade to get to the other two, Emmett, Selk, and Elidibus, and they're actually they're like god tier challenges, beating each one of those two. So villain decay, like where do you stop and start when the first one was just a chump?
He was the bless you. He was the weaker of the two, I guess. I don't know.
This is like all the underlings ever since then have had like much more threatening presences than the original villain because they've been more creative and interesting with the way they've implemented them in the story. Like no, it's like I told you years ago. Okay, 14 is this thing where it's like it starts crap in the original version, then it got okay, then it got good, and then it just keeps getting better and better since then.
Is
Like-
the character you're mentioning part of the original version of the game that was crap?
Kind of, yeah.
That's the problem then. Basically, the game received an overhaul, and that's why what you are talking about happened.
But have you ever seen anything like that before? It's kind of like if they did away with Frieza and he was a chump, and then he comes back in Super and he's awesome.
But that did happen.
I know. Kylo Ren the whole way through.
I hate Kylo Ren so much.
I like this character arc. I didn't like the third movie though with his character because it was a waste.
Phil, how are we supposed to consider this guy a threat if he keeps losing to Rey?
Because she's the only one that's a Jedi. Everybody else is not.
But
Makes
if,
mincemeat out of every other character who is not.
yeah, but if your character keeps losing, he becomes a joke.
Yeah, against one person. It doesn't mean the entire universe is not one person though.
I don't know, man.
Like he's holding laser like fire to people's heads. He's he can't. He's the only character I've seen in that series do that. Like, why bother deflecting the laser fire if you can just hold it in place?
Phil, the more times your bad guy loses, the more he becomes Starscream.
Megatron, yeah.
Or Cobra Commander. Or Team Rocket.
But
You get my point.
I like Starscream because he's just such a colossal joke.
I know.
He's
That's what
great.
Kylo is to me.
Yeah, but Kylo Ren's not Starscream. Starscream's way more likable. Because he is just such a two-dimensional, pitiful suck-up of a pathetic jackass. That's what he is. By design.
He's not a suck up. Like he's Judas, but he's so pathetic nobody seems to care.
He's like the most pathetic character ever, so why is he adored? He's like more adored than Yamcha.
Didn't the creator of Gintama like go out of his way to make as many Yamcha jokes as possible in his own series?
Yep, because he loves him.
And like people were frequently asking him, like, why do you always make fun of Yamcha? And he wrote like an entire page.
No. It was a female reader who wrote in to the author and was like, "Hey, aren't you a little bit hard on Mr. Yamcha? He's like the most respectful guy. He's a great dude. He's a hero. He helped save the world many, many times." And the guy Sarachi just puts down at the very bottom of the page in like big lettering, "I agree," and said nothing else.
I remember that joke in the bridge for the Android saga, where Yamcha basically gets taken out right away by Jiro. And you go up to the end, they just show up. Dude, can you do anything right, man?
You couldn't last 15 more seconds, really, dude.
Does Yamcha even make it to Nappa?
No,
No,
the Cybermen get him.
Yeah, you're right.
He doesn't even make it to the end of the Cybermen group where Krillin kills them all. He's just the first guy that gets taken out as like the precedent for you're all screwed.
All right, Yamcha. stronger or weaker than Chaozu?
Kieran, I got nothing.
I mean, Chaozu died to Nappa. Yamcha died to a Cyberman.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But Chaozu blew himself up trying to kill Nappa. It's
Yeah,
not,
so technically he didn't even get killed by Nappa.
And
yeah.
there is like a huge mark on his body armor from where Chelsea blew himself up anyway.
We never get to see Chaozu fight a Cyberman, so
Like, Nappa takes his armor off in the first place because Chaozu blew it up.
no, he takes it off. I remember that, but
Like, Yamcha gets a hug from a Cyberman, that's it, he's done.
as far as I'm concerned, like that's the most badass Krillin moment in the entire franchise.
Where he gets rid of all of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, but he does it using Yamcha's technique, though. You know, manipulating the energy and actually, like, moving it.
Hey, he got the job done.
He got the job done, the other guy
Res-
didn't.
Respect.
I mean, come on, Krillin's done, like, way more badass things. He could have freeze his tail. It pissed him off.
Yeah, and then gets impaled by what freezes horns. In the original version, that lasted nearly an entire episode, by the way. Just Krillin dangling from that horn.
Gonna need more Dendays.
It's a pretty badass Piccolo moment, too, with the Cyberman. Where one's trying to kill Gohan and he just catches him,
Uh-oh.
just throws him in the air and breathes fire on him.
He's the big brother figure you always wanted. Wait, no, he abducted him and then fed him to dinosaurs for a year. That's not great. Why couldn't you get more of Gohan 3 years training for the 17 and 18 with Piccolo and Goku? That would have been so much more interesting.
What, is he going to learn how to drive a car, too?
I mean, maybe, but okay, he abducts him when he's like 8 years of age and then feeds him to dinosaurs. that's like the very first story arc.
Yeah, and by the end of that, he's eating the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, why are there dinosaurs on Earth?
Shut up. Because Toriyama's insane world makes no sense.
Yeah, isn't a dog the president?
Wait, in Star Trek, a dog is a president. Because it's true. Think of DS9. There's a dog that's the president.
You're right. There is a dog.
Like, Cisco walks in and he's like trying to act his ass off there. Avery Brooks is like putting his best performances and he says, "Mr. President," and then the other guy's like, "Woof," behind the desk.
I don't know if that's one of the best and dumbest things I've seen in Trek.
I love it when they do King of the Worm people stupid crap like that. It's the best.
Like, why have we never visited that planet in Shrek? Like, where's the world of the dog people? We know it exists now.
Because they
It's
were
right
like,
here at my house.
because they were like, okay, here's this freak design makeup we came up with over the weekend. That's the character, right? Okay, we'll use it in next week's shoot. Okay, we don't have an entire roster of those makeups for people, so let's just use it in this shot here. Give it to that one guy that looks awesome in the makeup. That's it. It is all about budget at the end of the day, but you gotta remember,
You're right.
like most alien worlds in like Star Trek are like just sound stages. So,
Well, duh.
yeah.
or most alien worlds are.
Being in California.
Yeah, they conveniently look like the California wilderness.
This is why Stargate always did it marginally better, because they had actual big sets and they did everything in British Columbia, which just looks gorgeous visually.
Yeah, I guess.
You would not have watched all of TNG if it was all a soundstage.
I often wonder that. Would I watch TNG from the beginning as a kid? And probably not.
It's hard for me. I tried getting it through like 11 episodes of the first season. It's tough. That shit is almost unwatchable now.
Then again, I survived the Snyder Cut. I might be able to survive anything.
Yeah, that's true.
What am I saying? I freaking survived God knows how many Neil Breen movies at this point.
2. We've
Oh.
only watched 2.
Oh, it only feels worse.
Oh my god. Okay, Joe, did you ever watch a show called Cross Age?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm just gonna remember that one for next month. Okay. Woo!
Is this called Cross Age?
Oh yeah.
I think I've heard of it. Let me
Oh, I bet you have.
Yeah, get ready for next month, Joe. Totally gonna watch Interspecies with you.
Cross Age was a show from like 5-6 years ago that was special. Very, 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 very special. It's it's a all-female cast mecha series that ran for like 26 episodes.
Of course.
And it was an example of a show that's so bad it's good. In like the Neil Breen sense. Like it is absolutely terrible, but I was laughing my ass off the entire time watching it.
So like Aquarian.
Yes, yes. No, Aquarian's the one where they ride mechas and they have orgasms, isn't it?
Yes.
Because that's just like, what am I watching? This is similar. This is similar where it's just like, this is so dumb.
Well, the thing is with Aquarium, they take their plot seriously, despite the fact that they're having orgasms in their mech.
Big robot means woohoo.
I hated Aquarian.
You're gonna love Technical Eyes, whatever it's called, that Carol's got. Still can't believe that's actually 20-something episodes. I can't believe that. I always thought it was like one core, like 12 episodes.
No. And I found it interesting when I watched it.
Should make Kieran watch the original show Berserk. The original 26 episodes of that. It's not a complete story, mind you, but still great. Still is excellent.
Much like the manga,
Mm.
it's not a complete story.
Yeah, it's the thing that inspired Dark Souls, Goblin Slayer, and all sorts of stuff. The thing is now, how much is it going to inspire Elden Ring? Because you got to tell me that George R. R. Martin has not seen Berserk at some point and thought to himself, like, damn, that's a good idea.
I don't think he watches anime. He never talks about it on his Nonologue.
Oh, he likes reading stuff. People have like shown him pages of Berserk a few times, and he's been like, "That's gorgeous." Some of the artwork in it. Like he's seen oh god, he's seen like the double spread of Falconia, where he's showing you Griffith City. He's seen the eclipse. He's seen the thing where it looks like a dragon perched on like a tower, and he took like a look at 3-page scans, and people were just like, "Oh, wow, it's beautiful artwork."
All right.
But I think he was more not annoyed with the fact like, "Oh, it's not in color."
What's Griffith's tax policy?
George is a god. He can do what he likes. What's his tax policy? Give me my trampoline. I need my hot dogs. Is that what he does in his spare time? When he's like, when he's trying to get like an idea or something, George just jumps on a trampoline in his back garden and he starts eating hot dogs.
I don't know.
Is he insane? Like, what the hell
yes.
is wrong with him?
Yes, he is insane.
Okay.
It's been established years ago.
These authors are like incredible characters. Like when he was like saying to Stephen King on that stage, you know, in front of like the live audience, he was like, "Hey, how do you keep coming up with ideas?" And King is like holding back on the urge of saying like so much cocaine. He's like,
The best part about that interview with him and King, by the way, King could not give a damn about what George wrote. Like, I love your what series again? Game of Thrones. Yeah, okay.
that thing that made like so much money in the last 10 years.
King
doesn't care about his own.
give a damn.
He doesn't care about his own books either. Like people drafted him a short story at one point. You know of the sketch from Family Guy, the joke where he's like, "Hey, kill a lamp," on the guy's desk in the business thing. Okay, show me like the short story next week or something, Stephen. Okay, they sent him one, and he was like, "Did I write that?" Like he didn't even know.
I believe it.
It's because he turns so much out, I don't think he even knows or cares what he's typing out anymore.
Yeah,
I think
Like-
he's just typing for the sake of typing.
King is solely motivated by either
Cocaine.
cocaine or cocaine.
Kind.
Cocaine. That's
Oh,
what
the original ending of it was definitely brought to us by cocaine.
So, giant space turtle god. Deadlights. Child orgy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was less orgy, more train, but
Choo choo.
That makes it all better.
no, it doesn't. At all.
You want snoo out me way.
The fact that it's children and he's like, hey, this sounds like a fun thing to write.
Because what he's doing is he's got to get around the fact that these kids have got to have confidence in themselves. They've got to be encouraged and feel empowered, right? What he's doing is he's presenting it in like the most shocking, provocative kind of like ban this sick filth way possible. It's a train wreck.
It almost feels like a fuck you to the censors.
It almost feels like he was just coming out crazy shit like Tommy Wiseau. He just doesn't have the accent.
But it makes in the sense of the storyline, he has to make his characters feel empowered because Pennywise or whatever its name is, is a creature that feeds on fear. So it's antithetical to the thing. It makes you disgusting to touch if you are, confident. So how do you do that without devolving it into a child sexology?
Having the kids face their fears, Phil.
Yeah.
That's how most sane people would do that scenario.
Why do they do it?
Or each child does have a strength. Realize, oh wow, I can use this strength to defeat this aspect, or at least distract this aspect, while you use your strength to weaken it, and you use your strength to. That's how you do it.
Yeah,
You
like
don't have prepubescent or early pubescent children pulling a fuck train. That's just disgusting. That anybody would even think about having children in a sexual situation like that is horrific.
I mean, the whole thing is horrific. The kids are getting eaten by a killer clown to begin with.
It's
Like-
even worse. It does reek of sexual exploitation of children. Granted, they're fictional children, but it's like, what kind of mind can come up with children having sex?
Well, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate for King's way of thinking, but it does sadly fit the storyline of like actually making the kids feel confident. The sad thing is that
Except the
Joe-
girl.
yeah, like what does she get out of it? What does the girl get out of it whatsoever?
Yeah, she's just a used object.
yeah,
That's the actual like flaw to the whole thing. Because what is she to feel from this entire thing except like, oh well, I just
Like
slept with 5
used.
guys.
I'm sorry, but Carol's right. Like that whole bit is completely sexist as far as I'm concerned.
It's not just sex, it's the idea of children and sex being like an acceptable thing in an adult's mind. Just no.
But that's not the mentality.
You
The
gotta question
mentality,
that.
the mentality is it gives them a confidence boost. That's the push for the idea in the first place,
There are
right?
ways for
What
them
you're
to
saying-
boost without that, though.
No, you are right. You are absolutely correct. You're saying defeat the thing in like all the different forms that they once feared, and then they have confidence over it. That's the correct way of doing it. What I feel like is like King couldn't do it because of the simple fact that he had
He was
so
too
many
coked up.
characters. No, he had so many characters. Because if he had the same thing happen to like 7 kids, it'd get boring. So like either pair them up and have them, off screen in different ways, and it's like gets taken down through overpowering the domination of fear or whatever in different ways, or just kill some of the kids and then just have the survivors overcome it.
I still have a huge issue with Stephen King turning a prepubescent little girl into a sexualized object.
Well, that's King's decision. It's not mine.
No,
Like, I don't
I never
support
said
it
it was
whatsoever.
yours. I'm just
Well-
saying that I find that absolutely disgusting, and I think the mind who can think of something like that is fucked up.
You ever hear the cinema sins?
Meanwhile, we're watching Neil Breen movies. Okay. Keep going,
Hey,
Joe.
just because he thinks that he's Space Jesus doesn't mean that he's doing inappropriate things with small children. As a matter of fact, he kind of makes a point in at least the one movie about stay the hell away from me, jailbait. I'm not
So,
interested
Joe,
in
ask more
jailbait.
questions about waterfalls so we can get off this stupid conversation.
Yeah, where do they come from again?
When a mommy waterfall and a daddy waterfall love each other very much.
I'm just gonna mention very quickly. In the CinemaSins video, like the ending of that is still one of my favorites. It's either CinemaSins or Honest Trailers. I can't remember, but I remember the ending of it being like the narrator going, "Well, now that I've seen the movie, I guess I might as well read the book. The ending can't possibly be worse."
Oh,
Oh my god!
Jesus Christ, Stephen!
that's a sin for the end of it.
I still say there's something wrong with that man's mind, and we should not be thinking too
Cocaine.
highly of him.
And what's in this cocaine?
Anybody who's capable of making George R.R. Martin seem normal by comparison is a special type of weird.
Stephen King, the Dewey Cox story. Get out of here, Dewey. You don't want none of this. And what's in this cocaine?
What was the comparison they made to David Lynch and George Lucas at one point? Like David Lynch is the only sci-fi movie maker, as far as they're concerned, that can make George Lucas seem like a normal person.
David Lynch walks into like Skywalker Ranch, and he's like, George is like, "Oh, this is my Wookiee." Like, he's introducing him to like all kinds of props and everything. Lynch is like, oh, yeah, he's just like being a good person. He's just introduction to all these weird things, and it's starting to dawn on Lynch like the sheer situation that he's in. It's like he makes movies that get okay kind of proceed. Lucas makes movies that make billions, so pressure. He starts having a panic attack talking to this guy, right? And so he leaves Skywalker Ranch and he's immediately on his phone to his Ed, isn't he? And he says, like, I can't do this. And his guy unapologetically tells him, you just lost billions of dollars.
The experience, though, from Lynch's perspective, sounds like a nightmare. Because apparently, in order to get onto Skywalker